Hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. This week, we're going to be basking in the blue-hued glow emanating from political maps across the country. What a great day Tuesday was for democracy. Woo! In addition to the exciting election of Zoran to New York City's mayoral, to be the mayor of New York City. We had the gubernatorial races in blue states, New Jersey and Virginia. And we saw clear blue gains in purple states like the Georgia PSC races, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court retentions, and even in red states, with Mississippi voters sending more Democrats to their state house, breaking the GOP supermajority. Of course, this was after federal courts found the legislature violated the Voting Rights Act and forced them to redraw districts to protect Black voting power. But really now is a moment to harness this enthusiasm and hope right here in the Kentucky 6th District. So great week to be talking democracy here on Kernels of Truth. We've got some important stories to share in news of the week. We're going to look at the passing of just really a political legend here in Kentucky. Kimberly's going to dig in further on the SNAP crisis and how that's proceeding. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the nationalization of politics and the challenge that it brings for us. So should be a great show. Glad you're here. Really thrilled to be finishing out our series of interviews with the folks who are running for the 6th Congressional District. We're going to have David Kloiber, former Lexington City Council member. And so we'll hear about his run to get to DC and why he's doing that. So again, glad you've joined us. I know you have a lot of internet out there, and you somehow landed upon us. So thanks so much for doing it. But before we get into the news, we want to check in and make sure you're ready to help take Trump's power. So we know that we really do need significant political change here in Kentucky. For the next 12 months, Progress Kentucky is going to be focused on flipping the 6th District, as well as key state house seats that are within that 16-county congressional district. So later in this show, we're going to hear from one of the candidates running for that Democratic Party nomination, but we're really looking beyond the primary. We're working to shift the electorate who will ultimately show up in a year and make sure it's folks that wouldn't normally show up in a midterm. Folks that we've built relationships with, folks we've identified, folks we've helped, get involved with the political conversation. It's really a big job. It's going to take volunteers. It's going to take time. It's going to take resources. And we need your help to make it possible. So if you want to take some of Trump's power, if you want to flip the 6th District, please join us this Sunday for our Flip the 6th campaign launch event. It's going to be November 9th at noon. We're going to be at the Lexington West 6 Barrel Room. We've got Silas House speaking. We've got Representative Adam Moore, other great folks from the community going to be there. Show up, sign up either as a monthly donor, as a volunteer, or ideally both. Need you to RSVP immediately so we can let Dingbats Pizza know how many pizzas we need. They're going to donate some pizzas to us, which is awesome. We're going to print out the name tags. We're going to, do all that important stuff we need to do to prep the event. So you can head to that link on our website and you can go ahead and RSVP. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially right now, kind of coming off these big victories. Again, a lot more momentum, a lot more hope, a lot more of a sense that, yeah, absolutely, we can flip that seat. Of course, it's an amazing political gift, right? That we have what is legitimately a competitive, open congressional seat right here in our laps. If you recall, some of the other big victories that happened, Gavin Newsom was very excited about the ballot amendment that means that California will move forward with a more partisan redistricting to try to, kind of get 5 more Democratic seats in California to balance out the 5 more that Trump told Texas to find him. So yeah, it's not the greatest moment of democracy, people, right? But we have what is legitimately a district we can fight and win. And after last night, I'm even getting more hopeful that we can, in fact, win that seat for sure. So cool stuff happening right here in our own backyard. You gotta help out. We've actually added, because of all this SNAP insanity and government shutdown garbage. We've added a food chain fundraiser to the event. So go ahead and bring, some canned food, especially if they're building out their Thanksgiving meal boxes. So bring something you would have on your Thanksgiving, table, maybe some box stuffing, maybe a cake mix, maybe some corn, maybe some, cranberry sauce, maybe all of it. Bring all of that. That would be awesome, because we really do need to help folks in our community, because this is a huge food crisis that's happening right now, which we're going to hear about later from Kimberly. So at any rate, if you can't make it on Sunday, you can always just head to our Act Blue account and make a donation there. $6 a month, $16 a month, $600, whatever. It all adds up. You can use it all for this campaign. So now excited to check in with our co-host. Let us know who you are, where you are, and who is on your BITIN list. All kudos to our man Tyler, who's inspired us to think about who really needs some BITIN right now. So I've got one. I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Lexington. The top of my BITIN list right now is TJ Roberts. So TJ Roberts is, of course, a state House rep. He's a young guy from Northern Kentucky, part of that kind of Liberty Caucus or whatever, and he has got a bill that he's inspired. He's been inspired to introduce. It's Logan's Law, which is legislation aimed at ending early prison releases under mandatory reentry supervision, banning split verdicts. Basically, because this kid Logan was killed with somebody who was released, right? But the folks who, Logan's family said to them that TJ Roberts never reached out to them, never got their side of the story, and said they were, that basically they are being exploited for him to advance his political goals, and that they have zero interest in working with him and supporting that law. So TJ Roberts being super skeezy and sleazy, which isn't necessarily shocking if you've followed that guy's political career up in Frankfurt. All right, so that's my BITIN list member. Let's head to Kimberly. Kimberly, who are you? How are you? Where are you? And who's on your BITIN list?
How are you doing? And hello to everyone, to our listeners and viewers. I'm coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, which is Jefferson County. And on my BITIN list today, it is the one and only Megyn Kelly, who does not know how to keep her mouth shut. Our wonderful former First Lady, Michelle Obama, released a book yesterday called The Look. And the entire book is basically interviewing different hairstylists, makeup artists, fashion stylists. It's really a picture book, and also, some writing in there talking about how they would get the First Lady ready for events, things like that. So Michelle is talking a little bit about her hair. And, she never wanted her hair to take over the political agendas or whatever was going on. And they said, why are you worried about that? But then she looked at it like, well, the way they talked about, Barack when he wore that tan suit. So Kelly said, quote, Obama's hair, which you say here, Obama's hair experience is not unique. It's not a black thing. It's a human thing. And it's especially a woman thing. But she's always reducing everything to race. She said, I've burned my hair out of high heavens with those irons. Like, who is she effing kidding? Everything is about poor boo effing who, Michelle Obama. And especially when you get around the topic of race, it's nonstop. So for those that are interested, I'm going to be ordering the book from Amazon tonight. I think it's going to be a collector's item. And I'm just interested. What do they do to get the First Lady ready for events? So that's who's on my BITIN list today, Megyn Kelly. Back to you, Aaron.
Megyn Kelly. Good luck biting that. I mean, that is, so much work has been done. I don't know that that's still like, human flesh that you'd be encountering. But yeah, she's a horrible human. Wow, she's bad. Dr. Clardy, I see you there. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
Doing great.
I'm here in my office at Murray State University. I decided to stay late and do this podcast with all these cool books in the background. And on my biting list is Stephen Miller, just on general principle.
Yeah.
The man has a heart of ice. And I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
mean, no pun intended. No, yes, pun intended, because I'm going to tell you, the cruelty is the point with this guy. He reminds me so much in terms of his policies, his personalities, and even his looks as Goebbels. He is our American Goebbels. I don't like him. He is a very hateful, spiteful man. And to think that he has the ear of the President of the United States is profoundly scary. So that's what my biting is.
Yeah, that guy is horrible. Ice in his heart. Ice is his heart, right? Like that's all that is him to a T. Our own little Pee Wee German. That was my favorite sign from our No Kings protest. I will try to find it and share it in the chat. It was so classic. But yeah, it's a good one. We got plenty of folks who are doing horrible things that we should, no one should bite anyone. Just to be clear, in the interests of, advancing political discourse, we should not bite those we disagree with.
No. But if I could.
But yeah, it's a catchy song. I'm not gonna lie. It is a catchy song and some clever lyrics that guy has written. Really just an honor to the Commonwealth to have Tyler Childers as one of our own. All right, so let's get into the news of the week. We got plenty of stories, plenty of news to cover. I'm going to start with kind of a light one, and then we're going to go to heavier and heavier, basically. So I don't know if folks caught it. Michael Adams, our Secretary of State, the man who has, I don't know, he's probably not going to be on my biting list anytime soon. He does seem to want to do the job, which is, make it easier for people to vote, as he says, harder for them to cheat. Fine. But he did have a pretty snarky Facebook post. I don't know if we've got it pulled up, but if you're watching it, you can see it. He says yesterday, we're getting calls about polls being closed. They're closed because we do not have elections today. Kentucky votes next year. You cannot vote today in Kentucky for the mayor of New York City or the governor of Virginia. Sorry. So it was totally snarky, also hilarious. I'm going to be honest. I love a little snark, but also a bit of an indictment. Sure, it kind of comes off as, oh, you dumb voters. But I think the other thing that it's just, God, our media landscape, folks, has been so shifted and so nationalized, right? We're all in these dumb little billionaire-backed algorithmic bubbles being fed what we like. So on one side, I'm sure they're seeing about they gotta come out and vote to stop the socialist or the communist takeover of New York. On the other side, they're seeing, oh, the Democratic Socialist candidate is gonna help save the cost of living in New York. It's like we're also just kept to our own devices, kept to our own devices, kept in our own weird bubbles, and fed the thing that is most uniformly popular within your bubble, right? And so that's going to be national politics. I think it's very hard for state level, local level politics to break through that machine. And so it used to be, the story, right? Or the phrase, the cliche, all politics is local. Now I feel like that's been turned on its head, and it's all politics is national. And we're just getting fed stuff from Fox or NBC or influencers therein, folks who used to be on those shows or CNN or whatever, and we're not getting that local news. And so of course people are like, oh, it must be election day because all I'm hearing about right now is elections. So must be time for us to go vote. I don't know. I do think it's troubling, and I'll be honest, it's one of the reasons we started the show. We think it's really important that we dive deep, and we do touch on national issues from time to time, but we focus on Kentucky issues, and we focus on getting that information in a way that it's a little more challenging to get. It's not in your algorithm as much. So if you think there's value there, and making sure that Michael Adams doesn't get to post any more smug Facebook snark about voting, share our show, share this out there, make sure your friends know what's happening. You like what we're doing here, let people know it's going on. So help us build a bigger megaphone to have the conversations we need to have. Because I'll tell you what, that old, the cliche is right. All politics is local. I mean, if you think about what's actually affecting your life as a human being, 90% of it is like your local city. And I'm excited to talk to David Kloiber later about that. And then, 10% or, 7% of it's probably state level politics, and 3% of it's like national politics. But oh my gosh, national politics is so engaging, by turns enraging or inspiring. So I don't know. It's an interesting spot we found ourselves in. Dr. Clardy or Dr. Cecil Jones, any thoughts about this one?
I saw some folks in my Facebook algorithm, people I grew up with, reacting to the election of Mandawi yesterday. And I don't know where these folks got this idea that New York City is going to be under Sharia law. And I kid you not, he was allegedly, how did one person put, a communist Muslim terrorist who wants to bring Sharia law to America. Did I miss something? I mean, but this is the world we live in. You're exactly right. All of these issues are being nationalized, in some cases internationalized, and the same weird, kooky conspiracy elements that we saw during the first two Red Scares in this country's history, we're seeing it repeat itself again. And Mark Twain was right. History may not repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. And we're seeing that with the craziness that we're seeing online, all of these new theories about now these liberals and communists and terrorists, oh my, are going to take over our beloved country, and it ain't true.
Yeah. Good stuff, for sure. Kimberly, what you got?
Well, what do I not have, right?
I don't know. I don't want to go down that road.
Okay, first of all, you mean to tell me that I cannot vote for the New York mayor or the Virginia governor? Like, I never knew that. But other than that, I will be honest and tell you that yesterday, after I was with my uncle all day, I was like in a panic. Oh my God, I didn't vote today. And then I was like, okay, there's nothing to vote for today, but I was in a panic. Yeah, I was in a little bit in a panic. So,
because there's nothing to vote for. All right, that's hilarious. All right, so I think story number 2, we're turning to you, Dr. Clardy. This one's a little less lighthearted.
Definitely less lighthearted. Martha Lane Collins, the only woman to serve as governor of Kentucky, died recently, and she will lie in state at the old state capitol on Sunday, following her recent death. Governor Collins, who has been remembered as a trailblazer and for revolutionizing the state's economy by bringing Toyota motor manufacturing to Kentucky for its first U.S. site, died on Saturday, November 1st, at the age of 88 years old. Our current governor, Andy Beshear, who, like Collins, is a Democrat, announced during a Friday press conference that Collins will lie in state at the old state capitol on November 9th, and members of the public may pay their respects to the late governor between noon and 3 o'clock. The reason this is being held in the old state capitol is because the current state capitol is undergoing a multi-year renovation project, and it's been closed to employees, including the governor and visitors. And the old state capitol, where I was a few weeks ago, is on 300 West Broadway in Frankfort. Governor Beshear also added that plans to honor the governor are really still underway. Governor Beshear's father, the former governor Steve Beshear, served as lieutenant governor under Collins. And current governor Andy Beshear recalled seeing Collins when he was a kid. She was in his office, in his father's office, and she provided the current governor, young Beshear, with a lot of good advice and support. Governor Beshear was quoted as saying, "She created a foundation for us to build a strong future on, and her legacy will continue to benefit Kentucky families for generations. And I totally agree. Um, two things I remember about Governor Collins. I met her as a grad student here at Murray State University in 1989. She was very, very personable and likable. I admired her work. I kept thinking to myself, Walter Mondale really should have considered choosing her as his running mate in 1984. He probably still would have lost, pledging to raise taxes and whatnot. But I think she would have made an excellent addition to the ticket. I don't think that he would have lost as many votes as he did by choosing Geraldine Ferraro. There were a lot of questions about Ferraro. And I think that he probably would have picked up some support in the Mid-South, for sure. He may not have carried Kentucky, but I think he would have done better if he had chosen Governor Collins as his running mate.
Yeah, I love that. I think the timing's really interesting, right? She just passed. She was, of course, our first and only female governor. And Abigail Spanberger last night, the Virginia politician, she was elected Virginia's first female governor. And then Mikey Sherrill was in New Jersey, the first Democratic female governor. So It's amazing that like decades later, and these like very blue states are just catching up to us, which
exactly
kind of surprising, honestly, not what I would have anticipated. But yeah, really, I mean, she was awesome. I talked to her a few times. She was, of course, a huge early backer for Amy McGrath's House race. So I got to meet her at some events she was at for Amy. And then I followed up with her after the campaign as we were launching, I think, the Mitch McConnell Retirement Committee. I talked to her about this effort and what became Progress Kentucky. And she was very supportive. She just wasn't really out and about by that point. So she really couldn't help out a ton in what we were trying to do. But she really loved the idea and was glad to hear us organizing it. So she's just really supportive, did amazing stuff for like sports and the horse park. And of course, everyone talks about Toyota. But yeah, no, just what a woman, what a legacy of just, excellence, right? Just really excellence in the role and, breaking ground, which is really phenomenal to see and remember. Kimberly?
Yeah.
Well, she's always been what you want to call a shero to me. I had the pleasure of meeting her when I was very, very young. She was close with my mom. Just total class, intelligence, just a certain type of aura around her of quiet, what they want to call quiet authority. You knew when she walked into the room, she was it. You might not have known her name or known everything that she's done or accomplished, but she was it. So, just praying and sending positive energy to her family and, and to all of us that learned something from our former governor, Martha Lane Collins.
Awesome. All right. And then I think we've got the final story is coming to us from you, Dr. Cecil Jones, and tell us what's going on with the Snap roller coaster, huh?
Oh boy, roller coaster. It's such a roller coaster that I feel a little queasy. Like I've been on one of those roller coasters at Kings Island or something. Six Flags or whatever. But I still have to give all the kudos to our governor. And I try not to be biased about this, but he just continues to do so much good for the state of Kentucky that you have no other choice but to give him kudos. And our governor, Andy Beshear, he was able to get $5 million from our rainy day fund here in Kentucky. And this money is going to be distributed around the state to different food banks. And the policy of it, should I say, is to have the National Guards to come and help out to make sure that this food is being bought as quickly as possible and given out. A lot of the reporting comes from the Kentucky Lantern as well as the Courier Journal. based here out of Louisville, Kentucky. So actually, with the situation with the food stamps, there were 2 judges, federal judges, that said basically to the Trump administration, I don't care what you do, but you're going to have to give people this money, and it's got to be done quickly. So the president has waffled back and forth. So you don't really know what to believe. However, our governor did do a press conference talking basically that, they're going to be processing these SNAP benefits hopefully by Thursday of this week, and that, the ball can get rolling. But as I did more digging and more searching on that, it could be a few days or maybe a few weeks, depending upon the USDA and how they have this to happen. But a lot of this seems even more sad, I should say, because we are right now in the longest going shutdown in federal history, in this country's history. We're on 36 days now of the government shutdown. And so with the shutdown, we're also getting what you want to call a shutdown on the SNAP benefits. And what are people to do? What kind of mechanisms do we have in place for those that possibly can't get to these food banks? Thank God our governor, a few weeks back, he did find almost $10 million to feed our elderly in Kentucky, one organization being Meals on Wheels. But actually, how all of this went down is the Kentucky residents that were receiving SNAP benefits, they're saying we'll continue to see these benefits despite the ongoing federal government shutdown. They're saying that it was ordered, the continuation of food stamps, and that the ruling ensures that November SNAP benefits will still be funded. Though don't take this as the gospel, so to speak, but on several publications in my research, it does say that they will get 50% of the normal amount. So if you were getting $300 in food stamps, you can pretty much look forward to just $150 of those food stamps. I hope that it changes, because this situation changes every hour on the hour. My colleagues were telling me that yesterday on Truth Social, Trump had even put on there that he wasn't going to do anything with SNAP until the government opened back up. But today, the White House says that they will comply. So also, Team Kentucky was the one that brought about the lawsuit, and they said in a statement that the ruling requires federal agencies to provide the reduced payments this month. The federal government opted to cut November SNAP benefits half amid the shutdown. So that's partially the reason why you may not see all of your food stamps at this particular time, which is very sad. I mean, it's extremely sad to even know this. And also with the SNAP program, it became effective November the 1st. I believe that I talked a little bit about this before on a previous show, but veterans, the homeless, recent foster care youth, and adults ages 54 to 64 are no longer exempt from work requirements to receive food benefits for themselves and their families through the SNAP program. The expanded work requirements mandated by the One Big Bogus Bill are expected to cost 114,000 Kentuckians their food assistance. In Kentucky, the Cabinet for Health and Family Services said that the impact would be substantial. So under the previous rules, SNAP recipients in 117 of our 120 counties Most of them were exempt from work reporting requirements due to the local unemployment rates. So that's not going to fly anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It was up to the age of 54. Now they've extended it for 10 years, 64. So just so you know that you could tell your family and friends, anyone that is receiving SNAP. And let's be clear on this. The majority of people that do receive SNAP have jobs. And there's not anything in place right now, Aaron, to actually say how we're going to get these people jobs. But they did also say they will be required to do 20 hours per week of a job or volunteer. So that's pretty much what's going on with the SNAP fiasco, is what I like to call it. Hopefully this will be ironed out within the next week. And also I saw some people on TikTok that actually did go into the grocery stores and try to run out with their baskets full. Here in Louisville at a Kroger's that's not very far from me, there was a big fire with toilet tissue. And they're not saying it, but it would lead one to believe that maybe it was started so everybody could have time to run out of the store, perhaps. I don't know. But that's what's going on. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. Let's leave the conjecture for another time. But kernels of truth.
It was a lot, wasn't it? It was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that the Trump administration is playing politics with SNAP benefits, because it's very clear they should just follow the court's guidance and use the emergency fund for this emergency. They've never let SNAP benefits expire in previous shutdowns. Of course, this is now the longest one in history, so I guess we're setting some more ugly and dangerous and unfortunate precedents. Dr. Clardy, anything you want to weigh in on the SNAP fiasco?
The politics aside, the jockeying aside, and the stories aside, I have one question to ask the President of the United States. How can you sleep at night?
Real good.
I mean, it's the cruelty is the point, I guess, but I don't get my jollies off of people going hungry and going to bed hungry at night in this, the richest country in the history of the human race. And for a president who claimed to be pro-America first, America this, America that, you're going to send $40 billion to Argentina, and the poorest among us cannot find food, or the money's available, but they're not going to get it, and they're going to go hungry, possibly during the holiday season at that. How cruel and how sick is that?
Yeah,
it's called a person actually with NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder. He is the template of the worst of narcissists. And I'm not just throwing that word around because it's trendy right now. There are people that do suffer from that mental health illness, and there is no cure for it. There's no medication they can take. There is no cure for it.
No cure for evil, apparently.
Guy does not have a heart. All right, so we will continue to track this story, learning out how long it's taking states to reload those or load those benefits, even if they're half benefits. Good to get something going. And then obviously there are food drives all over the place. I think Dr. Clardy will share one with us in a minute. There's some more resources for our call to action later. But let's get to our interview now. Really just thrilled and gratified to have David Kloiber, who is former city council member. He was on Lexington Fayette Urban County government until 2022. Has been active in the community for quite some time and is throwing his hat. He is maybe he was the second guy to get in the race, I think, for the 6th district, of course, which we talk a lot about. It is that purple district that we are very focused on for the next year. So we want to make sure that our viewers have a chance to hear from all the Democratic candidates for the 6th district. And as this field has shaped up, we've gotten more and more intrigued, and really excited to welcome David Kloiber onto the show to share with us a little bit about his campaign and candidacy. How are you doing today, David?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this evening.
Oh, yeah,
is
no problems. No problem. We're really, as I said, excited to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about kind of yourself. Obviously, I mentioned you've been a member of city council, but where'd you come from? What's your background and why did you decide to run for the seat?
Yeah, so the quick story is I grew up here. I went to school here, went to UK. Left for a few years to chase a girl, get married, and have a few kids, and then brought them all right back here 13 years ago because this is where I wanted to raise my family. Since that time, I've done a lot of work in the community. I started a nonprofit. I've built up several businesses both here and across the country. And then a few years ago, right before COVID hit, I thought, I'm going to go try to get into public office in order to try and, make the community a little bit better for my kids. That's kind of the whole impetus for why I've been doing so much with education technology with the foundation and what my calling to public service was. So I got into office, made some good improvements, I hope, during COVID. It was obviously a trying time, but now I'm here and I'm ready to take that experience and that desire to make things, leave things better than how we found it. I'm ready to take that to the next level.
Awesome. Great. Well, and then I think the next question we got coming to you from Kimberly. Unless Kimberly's muted and not.
Yes, I was muted and I was on my page with my questions and stuff. So glad to see you, David, tonight. Tell me, what makes you the best candidate for this unique moment in history?
So I would say that what makes me the best candidate is that I have definitive plans on what we can do to get us from where we are to where we want to be. And that's my whole entire pitch is I'm here to bring common sense solutions that are going to take us and the values that we all share. I'm going to implement it. I'm going to show you the path that we're going to go from where we are today to where we want to be. And so that's all I'm running on is giving people something to vote for instead of only something to vote against.
Great. Dr. Clardy?
To follow up on that, how would you address the insane partisanship that's taken over our political system and political discourse?
One of the things that when we were on council used to say was that, we'd never seen a pothole that was partisan.
Right.
And, you learn a lot about how to get things done in a nonpartisan environment when you've actually served in a nonpartisan environment, right? Everyone on council had their own background, their own views. But to Aaron's point earlier, politics really is local. And the issues we face on a daily basis are the ones we talk about around the kitchen table. So if you want to get to the heart of what brings us all together, you got to be talking about the solutions to the problems we're all facing. And that's things like rising cost of healthcare. That's things like, housing affordability, wage stagnation. These are the issues that we're all faced with, and we need to have those solutions. And that's how you break that partisan divide, because we got a lot of things that bring us together, even when everything's trying to pull us apart. We're all living the same experience, the same life. Let me say that we're living different experiences in the same community, and we got to find a way to make it better for everyone.
Thank you.
So you mentioned, the kind of, you've got plans, you want to get things done. What's a priority plan for you? Kind of in the specifics, issues that are most kind of affecting people right now. I think there was a lot of talk in analyzing the races that we saw yesterday, that the Democrats that were successful were the folks who were kind of laser focused on affordability. So is there anything in your, toolbox and plans that'll help address affordability, which I concur is a huge problem across about every range of major expenditures that families and individuals are confronted with? Nothing's affordable anymore. What do you got for that?
Well, that hits the nail on the head, right? So I'd say pretty much every one of my policies is focused on a different aspect of that. If we're talking about healthcare, my policy I want to put forward is about getting us the healthcare we've already paid for. We've spent over $200 billion over the last 10 years on subsidies for pharmaceutical research and healthcare companies. And we as the direct taxpayers and residents and citizens of this country have not seen any direct benefit from that. We have this vague, nebulous, economic development. Well, I want to attach, some riders to those grants, make sure that we get those rates on those pharmaceuticals that we're actually paying for down to just as low as they are around the world. So we're not having to pay 3 times more than they pay in Canada or Mexico or England for the same exact thing, especially since we paid for the development. Right there, rough numbers, we can cut about $1,000 off of each policy for each person here in Central Kentucky. And that helps make a whole lot of things more affordable and moves us towards something like a public option. So in that sense, that's just one quick policy on healthcare. Obviously, we could talk about how we create more housing that we need in the community. We could talk about how we put more money in people's pockets by tying business incentives to worker pay and benefits. This is just a real simple common sense idea that we say, look, guys, if your company pays your employees more, if we raise that mean wage, you're going to be more profitable because you're doing what we need you to do in the community. We can incentivize what we need. So again, every policy I have is directed at that affordability. Like, how do we make it so that it's easier for you to live and raise your children in our communities without, getting strapped every single time?
Yeah, that's great. Any other questions from my co-host before I move into kind of a wrap-up question or two?
I think he's just about answered everything. He wants to do a lot of good, and I applaud you for that.
Nice. All right, Kimberly. All right. So what I've asked every candidate this, a 2-part question, David, because as you heard, we are not kidding around about flipping the 6th district. We think it is about the most important thing we could do in the face of rising, leaping authoritarianism. I know you're in it to win it, and if you have your way, that this time next year you'll be celebrating as our newest member of Congress. But as we look at this work, we think it's really important that every candidate who sees themselves winning this race, number one, commit right here, right now to avoid running negative ads against your primary opponents, asking you, will your campaign stay positive and only spend ad money on making your case with your strengths?
100%. That's not even a question. It's at the core tenet of what I believe and what I'm running on. It's not about pointing fingers or detracting from anyone else. It's about telling people what you're going to do for them and how we're going to get from where we are to where we need to be.
Nice. Because we just scratched the surface. We just heard about one of your plans. There's so many other plans, I'm sure, that we would like to, hear about in terms of tackling affordability. Unfortunately, it's only an hour-long show. But yeah, happy to hear more about them for sure. The other thing that I want to just challenge you to do, because we've seen, in previous races here, where there's a couple of different options of how you end your campaign and your candidacy. And we're asking you to commit to supporting the ultimate candidate and working with them and for them to win this race, depending on what happens there in that primary.
You're not going to find a group of individuals who are more committed through and through to flipping this district than the candidates who are currently running. We all know each other. We're out there day in, day out, talking to people. We're committed to this as much as you guys are, if not more. I don't mean to step on any toes, but I'm just saying we're all committed to the same thing.
Whoa. Hey, David.
Look, I see
live stream a week.
I know. Listen,
compare that
I'm
to right.
But I just want to say, you don't have to worry about us. I mean, I feel comfortable speaking for myself as well as for the other candidates. We're all very, very much on the same page. We have to flip this seat. We have to see change in Washington. And so none of us are going to do anything but give it our all from here until the end.
Nice. That's great. Great to hear. I would like to have some sort of a sound effect right here, because with the kind of that four interview series, every candidate has answered those two questions, not word for word, but the exact same sentiment behind each one, which is, yep, we're not running negative ads, and we are definitely going to come together to win, and work for that final candidate, whoever it may the best candidate win in that primary, which is fantastic and great to hear. Here in Kentucky, I don't have to remind everyone, but we've seen kind of both options, right? And we saw what happened when Rocky and Andy came together to win that that governor's seat, versus what happened when a Senate race just exploded and strong candidates, just couldn't really come together, unfortunately. So yeah, I like the one where we win. So let's do that one.
Well, you said it very clearly right there, right? The one candidate we've seen win in this district is Governor Beshear.
Yeah.
And he's not a person to point fingers. He's not a person to talk negatively. He says it's not left, it's not right, it's forward. And that's got to be where we're at as far as being on the same page.
Nice. All right. And where can people support your campaign, learn more about your campaign, maybe see some more of these plans, David?
Yeah. So davidkloiber.com is the website for the campaign. We're going to be rolling out these policies before the end of the year. Right now, it's a bio site, so you can get to know a little bit about, my family, my kids, my wife, our dog, just who we are, and what got me to this position in my life. But we're going to be rolling out those policies because I really do feel like the more we can give people to vote for, the better we're going to be, the stronger we're going to be, and the easier chance we're going to have to flip this district.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Thank you so much for giving up some of your evening, and thanks so much for doing the work of running for office. I know it's a lot, and it takes a significant commitment and a lot of grace from your family. And so glad that y'all are in it, and excited to see you out on the campaign trail.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we've got an call to action from Dr. Kloiber, very much in keeping with much of our conversation tonight. Take it away, Dr. Clardy.
We've got to be there for folks who need food, people. There's just no getting around that. As we've heard throughout this episode tonight, hundreds of thousands of our fellow citizens in this Commonwealth and in this country rely on SNAP benefits that are going to disappear due to the Trump MAGA regime and folks like Andy Bootlicker Barr. Yeah, I said it. Help people to get out and find food. The No Kings Lexington Coalition pulled together and this remarkable food hub resource guide, which includes Food Chain, of course, and other important groups like Glean and God's Pantry. And you can find it here in the link in the website. Food should never, ever be used as a political weapon. Sadly, these are the times in which we live.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that one. Really important one. Again, people, give what you can, do what you can. If you're in need, find help. Food is out there. People are doing everything they can to stand up more and more resources. But yeah, we're in a dark time when politics is being put in front of hungry people, and it's just disgusting to see it. And I hope that it gets solved sooner rather than later. Let's, and it's just so infuriating that that one of the points that David made earlier, just that the amount of money we spend on healthcare versus the outcomes that we get. We spend an enormous amount on healthcare, yet it is still incredibly expensive. And the fact that they are not willing to come to the table to help make healthcare less expensive for their constituents is shameful. Meanwhile, they're giving billionaires a big tax cut. It's just outrageous.
Can I add this to Aaron? We spend billions of dollars on weapons of war to kill people. Why can't we, for the love of God and for all that is holy and right, spend those same billions of dollars to keep people well and fed in this, the richest and most powerful country in the history of the human race? It is insane. I do not understand it.
Amen. Amen. All right. So I think with that, we can turn to close it. Really honored to spend the time with you fine folks. Great to have David on the show. Kimberly, can you close us out?
I sure will. it was great being with you guys this evening. Dr. Clardy, Aaron, just wonderful and great. And our guest tonight, David, running for the 6th district, learned a lot about him, which was great as well. So, and I appreciate our viewers and listeners as well. They are the most important. Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Common Ground Kentucky Action. We're also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is always to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Please join us next week. We'll be talking to Professor Josh Douglas, a democracy expert, about the threats to voting. And our production of episode 235 was by our own Mr. Parker Williams. We love you. Thank you so much. Always do a great job. Nate Orshan wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. That's NATO songs.com. And if you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcast and our show notes are always available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. And if you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review whenever, wherever you may listen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you at the same time, same day, same bat channel next week, and have a great rest of your week.
Nice.